Hey there! How are you? I'm Tom, and you're drinking What the Beer Whisperer. Hey, this is Sam Adams, Hazel Brown from their from their fall collection, their fall mix pack. Anyway, let me pour this bad boy. They call it Hazel Brown. They say there's some hazelnut flavor in here. They imply there's hazelnuts in it. When I looked at their website, it doesn't show that. So, sometimes malts, like talking about chocolate malts or different things will impart coffee notes and this and that without actually adding coffee. Or chocolate. So I think maybe that's what they're saying here. But even their label implies that there's hazelnuts in it, but it doesn't show that there's hazelnuts in this thing. Their malt varieties are Sam Adams 2-row pale malt blend, Caramel 60, Dingaman's biscuit, and Paul's roasted barley. Their hops are Hallertau, Mittelfrüh, Noble hops, and East Kent Gold Eggs. Again, it's 5/2/20. It's not exactly false advertising because it doesn't say that there's hazelnuts in it. It says hazelnut flavor, but it does show hazelnuts on the label. It's not quite false advertising, but it gets real close. You know what I mean? They're right on the edge there, baby. As far as I'm concerned, if you show something on the label, yeah, it should have more than hazelnut flavor. You should be having hazelnuts in that thing. But anyway, that's just how I feel about it. I have done one video on this before, and this is like the half dozen time I've said this, but I did it in a place where it didn't have great video. It came out real choppy. I want to do it again. I remember liking it okay, though. And there is nut flavor. I actually might think there is hazelnuts in this thing. It just says caramel and toffee notes with slightly sweet maltiness and roasted hazelnut flavor. Let's see. I'm trying to find malt varieties, hop varieties. Doesn't say any specialty. No, it doesn't list that there's nuts in here at all. I'm just saying they shouldn't have a hazelnut on the label if there wasn't actual hazelnuts in there. But there is a nutty flavor, so there you go. It does what it's promised, I suppose. That's got a nice color, though. I love that color, though. Don't you get that big ruby-esque color? I like it a lot. I'm okay. It's okay. No biggie. A little bit ago, I finished the Sam Adams Dunkle, and I liked it. But that's all. I was a little disappointed because I wanted to more than just like it. You know what I mean? There wasn't anything wrong with it. There's no reason for me to ever want to drink it again. But there wasn't anything wrong with it for me to say I hated it. It was one of those beers. It's fine. But I don't like fine in my beer, so I was a little irritated. This one's interesting. I do taste the nuts in there. Holy crap in a basket. Yeah, it's fine. But I digress. Now, again, the Dunkle Weizen is a style I am very familiar with, right? So I was expecting certain things from it. Hazel Brown is, I didn't know what to expect. So it wasn't going to let me down unless it just sucked, and it doesn't. There's nothing wrong with this at all. If they put this out in 6-packs, would I buy it? Probably not. Would I buy it in another fall pack? Yes, I probably would. I hope they replace that Dunkle Weizen, but I'd probably buy it even with that in it just to get the others in there. And I'll use that Dunkle Weizen for a marinade or something else because they're really irritated the piss out of me. Oh, wowzer. Oh. Oh, let me tell you. Sometimes I get frustrated. I don't dislike Sam Adams. Sometimes I feel like they get satisfied with mediocrity, and that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Oh. years ago, many years ago, many years ago. This has nothing to do with Sam Adams, by the way. I'm just gonna. I always think of these segments as it's just a set of bar rambling on, so sometimes the conversation goes. But anyway, um, many years ago, a friend of my cousin's, Bob, gave me a call. He says, "Tom, what are you doing today?" I said, "Well, I'm off today, Bob." He says, "I need your help. Come pick me up." I said, "Okay." So I went and picked him up, and well, we went and picked up a keg. He had ordered a keg. So we take the keg back to his place, and I say, "You having a party?" I said, "You having a party?" He says, "Well, I am now." So anyway, this is like 10 o'clock in the morning, and right now it's just him and I drinking a keg. Well, I'm off, and I'm about 21 years old. So we start calling folks, and never becomes a huge party, but there's some folks over there drinking, and right about, I don't know, it's probably about 6 o'clock when we're all about drunk and bored. So we decided to take a road trip. We were in Southern California, so we decided to take a road trip to Vegas, right? My cousin's driving Ford Torino wagon. So we pop a keg in the back of a wagon. Well, but we're smart, right? So we put a blanket over it to camouflage it. Yeah. Anyway, a friend of my cousin's comes along, and I'm not sure why, but he packs a cooler full of V8 juice. I don't know why, but he just did. Anyway. So we're hammered and we're road tripping to Vegas. Well, at some point, they decided to switch drivers. My cousin and his friend got the V8 juice. Anyway, my cousin's probably had more than he needs to drink, and V8 juice guy is stone cold sober. So they decided to switch places, but they're not smart enough to stop the car. So they're doing about 100 miles an hour down the freeway. They decided to switch places. So obviously this kind of thing happens. Well, apparently somebody calls the police. So the police pull us over. And they make Captain V8 Juice do every sobriety test known to man. Captain V8 Juice is stone cold as sober. He ain't touched a drop all night. So now they're perplexed, right? They know this car at some point was doing this number, and they're not sure why now because they have no real reason to pull us over. So now they want to search our car. So we know they're going to find a keg at this point, but the keg is up front. It's got a blanket over the top of it. There is a cooler full of V8 juice on the side there. They have to actually open the hatchback, physically move the keg to get to the cooler with the V8 juice, and they still don't find a keg. They're all looking. There are two female cops I should have pointed out earlier, and they're real scared that shit's going to happen to them. So one of them's got like a weapon on us, while the other one's looking, and they're looking and they're looking and they're looking, and at some point the light bulb goes off. Boom! I mean, it's like minutes later though. I mean, it takes them. They actually had that V8. They popped every label on that V8 just when you had the little tabs on the V8 juice you pulled off. They sniffed and poured out every V8 juice trying to find alcohol. They couldn't find it. Finally, they realized we were hiding a keg. So now they're really perplexed. They're not sure if a keg constitutes an open container. So we hear this conversation over the radio. They have a keg in the back, and we hear this. They have a what? They have a keg. So we bring them in, and you hear this voice over the radio going, "Make them dump it out and let them go." So you can almost hear them say, "We don't want to screw with that kind of paperwork." Well, you just let them go. Okay, so they asked us all how many beers we had. And everybody had one beer an hour ago. So they want us to dump the keg out. So we say, fine, dump it out. They say, no, we can't dump it out. They want him to dump it out. Bob. Bob has been causing a fuss this whole time. So they want to make an example of Bob. Well, Bob. I should have described Bob earlier, but this is where it makes the most sense. Bob is like 6 foot something, big burly guy. I won't say redneck, but he is very alcohol oriented. So he's not happy about dumping out his keg. So, but anyway, he finally agrees to do it. Because all of us are going to do it, but they want him specifically. So anyway, Bob has to dump out his keg. So when they finally get to Bob dumping out his keg, there's maybe at the very most, a pitcher and a half right out of that thing, and this dog empty. Holy crap in a basket. What does that have to do with this Sam Adams beer? Well, absolutely nothing. But I just feel like telling the story. And that's sometimes what you do when you're drinking beer. Oh. Yeah, I like this beer. I do. Will I buy a 6-pack of it? Like I said, I don't know. I would drink it gladly in that mixed bag because I think it does what it's supposed to. I wish the hazelnuts weren't on the label for the reason I said earlier. Other than that, it's a fine beer. So hey, I'm Tony the Beer Whisperer. Woo! I'm getting the heck out of here. You all have a good evening.